In this second lesson dedicated to Photoshop, we're going to see how we can create a new file from scratch, from zero, instead of opening an existing file. Now we saw that by opening an image, we're gonna get its resolution and the size and all the properties that are already stored in the image. Instead, if we go to new file, we can define the parameters right here on this panel. Now we can see that we can choose from different types. So we have recent and saved. These are the ones that we can create, our presets. Recent, the ones that we used previously. And then we have photos, and then print, art and illustration, web, mobile, film, and video. So there is already a distinction between printed graphics and digital graphics. And there is also like midway, which is art and illustration. Now, usually we can use whatever, and we can convert this into printed and into digital according to our needs. But let's talk about more the parameters that you find in here. By the way, if you want here, you can click on the plus and you can see all the presets by clicking here. And if you scroll down, you can see like the one that you can get from Adobe Stock. So you can start from something that is already prepared for you, or you can use this standard right here. So this is the standard paper size, the one that you usually find in your home. And this is usually to under 10 millimeters width, and the height it's about 300 millimeters, a little less. Now you can change the orientation using this button right here, and it's gonna change the width and the height. And then you have resolution, which right here is 300 pixels per inch. If you click here, again, you can change the resolution. If you go down, you also have color mode, and now is on RGB. But I'm going to show you that if you need to work in printed graphics, it's probably better to use CMYK. And then you have color depth, which is going to be 8-bit or 16-bit. And if you use RGB, it's going to be 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit. Now you also have other like bitmap that only has 1 bit. And these are, think about this as a number of colors. So when you have like a really high value, like 16 or 32, you have like billions of color. With this, you're gonna have like millions. But I'm gonna show you in a few seconds. So you also can change the background of your document. So if it's a piece of paper, probably it's better to have a white background. But if you need to work on a screen, like for example here in film or video, it's probably best to change this and use the black, or you can just click and select one yourself. And then you have background color. Background color means no color at all. So it's gonna have like a checkerboard, and that represents the absence of anything. And essentially it's gonna use an alpha channel to have the transparency. And we're gonna talk about this later on. Now, as you may see, these are really basic notions. We are starting from really basic things, but this is the course, and it's about to get more and more advanced. But these first lessons will be really easy. So if you already know all of these, you can just skip ahead. If you are a beginner, probably this is really interesting for you. Now, color profile. You can just now manage, or you can use these color profiles. Now, color profiles are a way like the device is going to interpret the colors that you're gonna give him. So it's kind of how your device will interpret colors. So you may have the same exact image looking different in two different devices. And this is because of the color profile. And then you have pixel aspects. Now you can see that in some of these formats, you have different pixel aspects like NTSC or PAL, but usually now we use square pixel, depending on the device, but sometimes you want to change that. So you can see this, I have, instead of square pixel, which has like one proportion, this has slightly different proportion between the width and the height of the pixels. So let's go like in art and illustration again, and let's use like 1000 pixel grid. This is going to be a square file, 1000 pixels times 1000 pixels, 300 pixels per inch resolution, and so on. Now we can also modify and create our own. To do that, I'm just going to type here. Well, actually, first it's better to click here so we can expand this. And now I'm just going to make some changes. So let's make this like 300 pixels times 300 pixels. And here the resolution, I want to have this like 72. So a lower resolution. Now, by the way, if you use like centimeters, and let's say you are working with 5 centimeters with 72 pixels per inch, and then you switch into pixels, you see here you have 142. But if I increase the resolution, let's make like 300 pixels per inch, and change again from centimeters to pixels, you can see you have more pixels, which means that if you increase resolution, you have more pixels, meaning that you have a bigger image with a higher size and more resolution, essentially. So let's do like this, 5 centimeters. So, well, maybe this is too low. Let's increase this. So number of pixels is really important when you want to create a high quality image. If you don't have enough pixels, you're gonna see the pixels really big, or the image is gonna be really small. Okay, let's save this preset here. I'm just gonna save this as custom one and save. There you go. So I have the new saved. I can also delete it, or I can just select it. So every time I don't need to go and customize one of these all over again. If I'm using this as a standard format, I can just go here, click on this, select it, and just create. And there you go. Now, before we continue, I want to show you the photo that I selected in the previous video, which was this one here that we slightly modified. So if I right click with my mouse in Windows in this case, but you find similar commands in Mac. So if I go to properties here, you have like 4 tabs, and you have a detail tab that is going to tell you the amount of pixels that you have in here. So in the first one, general, you can see the size, but this is not size in terms of width and height. This is the heaviness of your file and how much space it will take from your hard disk to archive this, to keep it in your hard disk. So in the details instead, we have pixels for the height and the width, and also DPI, which means dot per pixels, and in this case are 72, like the one that we created. And also if we go down, you have also the bit, color depth in bit, and you have also RGB, so the color scheme, the color system, and you also have all this information about the picture itself, the photo itself, where it was taken, and what were the various parameters in the camera. But this is something we don't care at the moment. So this is just to show you that you can retrieve those information in any image you have. Now these are JPEGs, but I want to show you also the difference in saving a Photoshop file and a JPEG file, why it's really important to understand the difference. Now if I click, you can see this little menu appear. Now these are like intelligent menus that appear, and it's asking me if I want to import the image. Well, yes. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to select here in the photos, I'm going to select this one that we used previously. So let's place it, and let's see what's going to happen. Now, what's going to happen is that this is going to be like stretched down in order to fit the size of my new document. And we know that this document is like really low quality. Instead, the picture there is 4K. So if I say, okay, done, I can also like flip here if I want. But if I say done, okay, I'm happy with this. And now if I zoom in, so let's go down here and change this to 200. There you go. We can see that it's a little bit pixelated. We can see the pixels already. It's kind of blurred. And then there you have other like smart commands here. So I'm just gonna click and drag this down. Now, how also we can zoom. Let's talk about navigation. Let's see some navigating commands. You can find those right here. Now, there are mainly two. The first one is going to be the zoom. The other one is going to be the pan. Now, with the zoom, I can click here and I'm going to zoom in. And you can see the more I zoom in, the more I see the pixels. And if I click here and I want to change this to a negative, so if I want to go out instead of in, I need to press the Alt key. So I press and maintain the Alt key of my keyboard pressed and then click with the left mouse to go back. So click normally with the left mouse to go forward, Alt and click to go back. And this is a quicker way you can use the zoom. Now, what if you are in another command, like for example, the move tool right here at the top, and you still want to zoom? Well, in that case, there is a shortcut key, which is again the Alt key. If I press the Alt key and scroll the scroll wheel, I can again do the zoom. Now, usually when you press the Alt key or the Shift key or the Control key or the space bar, you're going to have like extra options on whatever commands you're using. So if I use the Alt key with the movement, so press Alt key and move, it's going to make some duplicates of your image. Alt, click, and drag with the left mouse. It's going to make duplicates. Now, the other important one is pan. So if I click on pan, I can click and pan around. So I can move parallel. I can move and, I can zoom a little bit and then move around with another shortcut key to this is the space bar. If I hold the space bar and click and drag with the left mouse again, it's gonna pan. So these are, again, some shortcut keys for the navigation, which I think are really, really interesting. And then you have others. So if you press like the space bar and scroll, it's gonna scroll vertically. And if you press the shift key, it's gonna scroll a lot, and control is gonna scroll horizontally. So again, each key is going to have like different function. Now I want to talk about formats when you finish your work and you save. Now you can see that by duplicating this image by holding Alt and moving, I created more layers. I can also create more layer if I continue to bring in images. Now if I go to File, Open, it's going to open the image in another section here, in another image, in another viewport. And if I go to Window, I can see that I can switch from here from Untiled to this other one. Now, when you have this small star here, this means that you need to save this, which I didn't saved. So if I go to File and Save, it's going to ask me how I want to save this. So let me save it here in this folder. Now, when I save like this, I can only save Photoshop and also large document format, PDF, and TIFF. They will all contain more information about the file here, but the best one when you want to save everything is Photoshop. So this is going to be the source file, which means that I can always come back here and get all the various images that I've used, all the various graphics. So this is more for who works in the file. It's not the final product. It's kind of the product that I can always change and I can edit. So it's really important. It's more important than the final product. Now, if I save and maximize compatibility, okay, now I have a source file that I can always open up. Let me just save in another way. So I'm gonna go to File, Save, and you can see the first time you need to save, but the second time you can just go to Save As or Save a Copy. So if I go Save As, I can save again in the Photoshop format or these other formats. If I go here to Save a Copy, I'm gonna have extra options. So I can save, like for example, in APS or a GIF, or I can save JPEG or PNG. Now let's save, for example, in JPEG, which is the most popular format out there in the graphic design world. And I'm gonna call this as a source file copy, or actually it's not gonna be a source file. So let's call this file copy and save it again. Now I can choose the quality. Now, lower quality will have, you can see here, more artifacts in the image. So these are not just pixels, this is like compression issues because I created a really small file. Or I can increase the size and the quality like this by just clicking and dragging this to the maximum. And this is going to be the resulting size. And then you have other stuff here that you can fix a little bit, but these are the most essential. So let's save. And now I want to close everything. So when I go to File and Open, now I want to open both. So first one is going to be source file. The other one will be the file copy right here. Let's open both and let's see the difference. So first of all, I'm going to zoom in with Alt and scroll wheel. And you can see that here we maintain all the layers. So if I want, I can continue to move these around and, create a different combination. So essentially, I'm able to get all those different layers, different information inside my file because I am in the source file. If I am in the JPEG, I will not be able to do this. So if I select, this is going to be one standard and one single layer where everything was like merged together. So I cannot access the different layers. This is why it's more important to access the source file in the PSD or Photoshop format instead of using the JPEG or another final format or finished format. So it's really important to understand this difference because usually PSD files or source files are more important and also they cost more. And also if you are selling, you should probably sell the source file with a price higher than the final result. Now I'm going to close this and I'm going to again start all over here. I'm going to create a new file. And again, I want to use my saved. So we'll save my custom one. And let's change something slightly. So again, we maintain all of this stuff, but I want to change the color to grayscale. And again, create. Now, if I import the image, also I can open the image directly inside here, not by clicking on open, but by going to place embedded on place linked. Now, this is also important difference. If you do place embedded, that image is going to go inside your Photoshop file and it's going to be there, so you will never lose it. It's going to be inside that file. If instead you're going to link it, it's going to link it externally. So if you change the name or the location of that file, you probably won't be able to see it anymore. So you could lose it. So this is the safest way to embed, but it's just going to create a bigger Photoshop file. So let's place here an image. And again, it's going to be this one. But also here you see it's black and white, or better, scale or gray. Now I can do done, or I can press on the check here, and let's zoom again. So you can see it's the same image, but is in black and white or scale of gray. And this is because I've changed the color to scale of gray. Now, before I end up this lesson, I want to show you some quick tips that you can find also on the web yourself, but just to see that if you want, you can go more in depth with this. So these are many examples about resolution in terms of DPI and PPI. Now, DPI means dots per inch. PPI means pixels per inch. And of course, if I have more pixels under 1 inch, I will have a better defined and better resolution for my image. But usually the screens, they support 72. So usually we use 72 when we need to go digital or on a screen. And we can use up to 300, but also higher number of PPI or DPI when we print, when we use advanced printers. And these again are other examples right here. Now about the color profiles, they are also called ICC. And you can see just that different devices have just a slightly different way to interpret colors. So an exact same picture could look different in two devices. RGB and CMYK, these again are two different systems. Now, usually these are called, the RGB, red, green, and blue, are called additive because when you add them together, you get white. And CM epsilon K, when you subtract them, you get the white. So these are called subtractive. So you have additive RGB, subtractive CM epsilon K, which means cyan, magenta, black, yellow and black. And here you can see the difference. Usually, as the way they work is probably better to use CM epsilon K when you got to do printed projects. RGB is better for screens and anything that is like digital or a video projector or something like that. And again, color depth. So how many colors you want to see. So you maybe want to see just a few colors or like a scale of gray. And you can see here differences of scale of gray and also how many colors you have, like in 16-bit or for example in 8-bit we have like millions of colors, and 16-bit we have like billions and so on. And of course increasing color depth will also increase the size of your image. And if you want to know more, of course, about navigation commands, just go there and see, but I show you the most important ones. So this will be all for this lesson, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel, and if you want to thank us and support us more, you can join the channel as a supporter and check our other video guides and video courses in graphic design, 3D design, and many more. So thanks for watching. See you in the next lesson.